of the stars won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Friday the 13th.
See, here's the thing.
Yeah, I know. I knew this is the first thing you were going to bring
I
up.
have to, because I know it was written ma.
It does not
But
sound
it
like
certainly
that at
doesn't
all.
sound like that.
No,
It sounds like
no. It does, and it's because he repeated it so many times, and yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too.
Yeah, so whatever.
He does not like
I hate
that.
this. Let's just stop the show.
He was very upset about that, and that people did not see his brilliance.
Okay, I
and
just
then
had to get
also
that out of the way.
ripping off Psycho, but you know,
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. Take us back,
take
Adam.
yourself back to 1980. On January 29th, the Rubik's Cube makes its international debut at the British Toy and Hobby Fair in London.
Man, everybody I knew broke that baby apart, put it back together, and was like, I solved it.
Or did it?
Or the
Yeah.
jerks that tried to take the
stickers off.
But that was just...
It was so obvious.
Yeah, it's like,
Why is your yellow square hat sideways?
Because I moved it a lot.
the way it came. Yeah. March 3rd, the first Showbiz Pizza Place restaurant opens in Kansas City, Missouri.
Is that like Chuck E. Cheese?
Terrifying. Yes, terrifying. It was the original Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh.
Terrifying with the giant animatronic bears and stuff.
Right. That
Which they thought was a good idea for children.
Five Nights at Freddy's is based on
Yes,
that
yes,
video
exactly.
game about
Yeah.
surviving the animatronic
Yeah.
murderers.
I went to Showbiz quite a bit. I remember Showbiz.
I don't think we had Showbiz on
Yeah.
the West Coast. We did have Chuck E.
Yeah,
Cheese
yeah.
later, but I don't think
Cheese
we had Showbiz Pizza.
On May 7th, Paul Geidel, convicted of second-degree murder in 1911, is released from prison in Beacon, New York after 68 years and 245 days, the longest ever time served by an inmate.
He immediately murdered 5 people. As soon as he got out of jail, and everybody was like, see? Shouldn't have let him out.
68 years and 245
Yeah.
days is not enough.
He was spry for an old guy.
That's crazy.
He was a lot of pent up.
Can't imagine. Like, you literally missed you missed everything.
Well,
Like,
you
it's
know what?
crazy.
Don't murder.
That's
and
true.
and you won't miss anything.
All right, well, good advice. But
I'm sticking by it.
he was released just in time for the release of Friday the 13th on May 9th. And it made $5.8 million in its opening weekend off of a $550,000 budget. It did very well. It did very well for itself.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th was the brainchild of producer and director Sean S. Cunningham. He previously worked with filmmaker Wes Craven on the film The Last House on the Left.
Nice.
Great movie. Cunningham, inspired by John Carpenter's Halloween, wanted to do Friday the 13th. He wanted it to be shocking. Like, he wanted it to be jump scares. I mean, essentially.
Yeah. It's, I would say, more gross than jump scare. Like, I think Tom Savini did a really good job of grossing us out.
Oh, yeah. Victor Miller, the writer, lived near Cunningham, and they started collaborating on projects together. Cunningham had a production company, and he hired Victor Miller to write the script, which is in question, and I'll get into that later. Miller loved the idea of creating a serial killer that was someone's mother who killed for the love of her kid. He said, and I quote,
Mrs. Voorhees was the mother I'd always wanted. A mother who would have killed for her kids.
I can't imagine Victor Miller's mother hearing that and going, yeah, that sounds great, Victor.
And that's exactly what Victor Miller sounds
he
like,
does.
by the
He
way.
is, yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It's actually, well, Victor Miller hate will be justified. Miller hated the idea of Jason being the killer in the sequels. He said, and I quote,
Jason was from the very beginning. He was a victim, not a villain. Oh.
I totally agree with him.
Yeah.
The reason why the first film is so brilliant is because of the twist at the end.
Yeah.
Look, they tried a bunch of MacGuffins that were they half-assed. Let's just be honest. None of them really worked because it's like, how the hell? Oh, 2 Jeeps, the same. We'll
Yeah.
get into that.
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, like, yeah, Jason is a mindless glob of goo,
Yeah.
evil that comes up
was
from
he been dead for 30 years? Like,
Yeah.
it didn't make any sense.
And here's the thing. He pulls her under. He's a little boy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a little boy with a gross face. But now he's like this big hulking giant. Like, do they explain how he grew into such a, you know?
I haven't watched the second movie in a long time. So
The second
it's
one, I
possible.
think that there's like they find like he lived. Apparently, I think he like lived through the drowning, and then lived in some hut or something out in the woods of New Jersey.
I mean, it's possible. Given the first movie, it's possible because she never really implies, I mean, she speaks in his voice and like does all this stuff, but
She says he's dead. I
does she?
buried my boy.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Dead, do.
All right. Well, wow. She even sang it. That's great. If an independent contractor, then he owns the rights to the script. If he's an employee, then he does not own the rights to the script because he wrote it on,
Under
under
an
working for the
employee.
company.
If you
So
work
it's-
for a company and a pharmaceutical company and you create the most successful drug ever made, you don't get rich. The pharmaceutical company gets rich. I mean, I'm sure they'll give you a bonus or whatever for destroying the country.
couple bucks.
If you work for somebody, they own your stuff.
I will get into more of this later at the end. when
Awesome,
We
'cause
talk about
everybody loves legal
it's not,
stuff
It's simple. It's just that
Just kidding.
Victor Miller is the reason why there is no new Friday the 13th stuff since the last 3 years. Victor Miller went on to write soap operas. This was a big thing for him. He was nominated for 11 Daytime Emmy Awards.
I know, and it was so weird because all of his storylines revolved around mothers getting revenge on their children in various degrees. Not always killing. Sometimes maiming, sometimes shaming,
Sometimes just slapping,
sometimes a blaming,
little slappy slap.
sometimes gaming. But yeah, they all did.
He won 3 Daytime Emmys for All My Children. It's just it's weird. I don't know. Victor Miller's a weird person.
Hey, whatever, man. You don't write the same thing over and over just because he wrote one horror movie doesn't mean he.
Well, yeah.
No,
of course,
and here's
of
the
course.
thing: soap opera writing is kind of similar to horror movie writing because
Yeah.
you got to come up with some crazy coma or conspiracy or some sort of crap for people to go through.
Yeah. The original screenplay was tentatively titled A Long Night at Camp Blood.
Ugh, a long title that was.
While working on a redraft of the screenplay, Cunningham proposed the title Friday the 13th. But he was worried that the title may have been used for something else, so apparently his logic was to place a full-page ad with the Friday the 13th logo that he had created before they even finished the script. He put a full-page ad in Variety just to see if somebody would try to sue him.
Sure, and then he has documented proof that he came up with it beforehand.
Yeah.
It's like publishing your LLC. You got to publish or if you're in a lawsuit,
Sure.
You publish in certain papers to try to serve.
dates. But if it was a title that was copywritten, couldn't he have just called the copyright office?
I don't know, man. There's no Google back then. You had to be creative.
It was just a very odd way. But
He was probably smoking dope, man. It's the 70s. He's probably on dope.
That's true.
Yes.
The New York Advertising Agency came up with that Friday the 13th logo, which he used at the beginning, where it's big block letters bursting through the pane of glass.
Sure.
And
Scary.
which really, I guess kind of connects to the story, but
Well, here, man, there's one reference to it in the movie.
yes.
Just one.
Yes.
It's when the sheriff is driving the camp owner back to the camp.
Steve, yeah.
Driving Steve back. And he says, hey, well, Friday the 13th ain't a full moon. Ooh, they're going to get weird.
Yeah.
Or something.
And
I
it was
paraphrased,
well, and
but-
it was Jason's birthday. That was the other thing she said.
Yes, it
She
was
said that
Jason's birthday. A full moon and Friday the 13th. So a triple whammy.
There
for
has to
crazy
be
stuff.
murder. I mean, you know. So they finished the script in mid 1979. The idea of Jason appearing at the end of the film was initially not used in the original script. In Miller's final draft, the film ended with Alice merely floating in the lake. Jason's appearance was actually suggested by makeup designer Tom Savini.
Sure. He wanted some more money. Put some more makeup on something. That's
true.
Well, if I put some makeup on that little boy over there, we'll throw him in the lake. What?
He stated the whole reason for the cliffhanger at the end was that he had just seen Carrie, so we thought that we needed a chair jumper like that, and I said, let's bring in Jason.
Yeah, big mistake.
yeah.
Big mistake, but also,
I mean,
okay.
yeah.
To me, story-wise, big mistake because it's such a great contained movie. But they did jump a complete franchise off of an added jump scare.
Yeah.
Well,
for me, it works in the context of the movie because it cuts to her in bed, and she's like, she's obviously gone crazy.
It could have been just a dream.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah, there's no reality to it, except
yes,
they cut back to the lake.
Right,
and then you
right,
see
and
some
the
bubbles or
the
something.
bubbles.
So it's like, what is it? Is it real or not real? Make up your mind, Savini.
Yes, Sean S. Cunningham didn't care. He
Sean
just
S. Cunningham.
So after they finished the script, they went to casting. A New York-based firm was hired to find 8 young actors to play the camp's staff members.
Now, do you know if this firm was a casting firm mostly for New York soap operas?
I'm sure they probably did that a lot.
Because a lot of these guys came from the
Yeah,
soap world,
like
right?
half of them came from
Well,
soap
because they
operas,
shot
yeah.
in Jersey, so they're not casting out of California. They're
No,
casting out of
no.
New York, and everything that was shot in New York at the time was soap operas.
Everything in this movie was very New England based because both Cunningham and Miller were from Connecticut, and it was, it's
Snobs.
all, yeah, they were snobs. Kinetic nuts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Cunningham admits that he was not looking for quote unquote great actors, but anyone that was likable and appeared to be a reasonable camp counselor.
Well, I think it was. I mean, that makes it sound like he didn't give a crap, but I think
I'm pretty sure he didn't.
maybe. But I think it's also, it's better to have them look like camp counselors than have these
Sure.
really, like we talk about the slickies versus the
Yeah,
the dirties. And
Yeah,
this
they
is, more
they
of a
looked
dirty.
more like just people. Just
Yeah.
wanted them to look like normal people. The actors would need to look good, read the dialogue somewhat well, and work cheap.
They were all fine.
Yeah,
there
they
weren't
did
any
fine.
stinkers. They were, they were kind of annoying, but they were annoying in like kids would be annoying.
Yeah. I mean, it fits the characters.
Yeah,
and
I think
it
they all
works.
did a good job.
Adrienne King was cast as Alice. Alice was actually, the role had an open audition as a publicity stunt for the film to garner more interest in the film. They originally wanted Sally Field, but realized they couldn't afford any name actors.
She did show up to the cattle call though. She
Oh, yeah.
was like, "I want to give it a shot," and they're like, "Okay, you're in," and she's like, "Okay, but I want $1 million."
And they were
he
like,
said,
yeah,
"No, I can't do it, Sally."
no.
And
King
she did Smoking the Man instead.
No, well, that probably paid a lot more. King earned the audition because she was friends with someone who worked in the casting office, which also seems to be an ongoing thing with this movie.
That's an ongoing thing in Hollywood.
Yeah. King was actually a child actor. She was in Inherit the Wind in 1965 in the TV movie. After the movie's release, King suffered an aggressive stalker, which prompted her to go into seclusion.
After
Yeah.
Inherit the Wind?
No, after Friday the 13th.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was going to say,
Yes,
that's
someone
weird.
stalked her after, but she did not do any acting work for like 20 years because this stalker was everywhere.
Yikes.
She started doing voice acting and dubbing work in the 90s, and still has a pretty good. She does a lot of loop groups and things, and she has actually a pretty good career going on now.
Nice.
She did come back to do some acting too, in the last like 10 years. Harry Crosby was cast as Bill. He was the son of Bing Crosby.
Nice.
Yeah, which is cool.
His sister was on The Next Generation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Denise Crosby.
I didn't know that was his. I didn't know that was Bing Crosby's daughter. Wow.
I don't know if they're halves or wholes. I don't know the whole situation.
Oh.
I know Bing Crosby was a questionable character.
Yes, he was.
But but yeah, I think yeah.
I didn't know that. I love Bing Crosby. I think he's fantastic.
Whatever you say.
So Harry had appeared in a number of movies and TV specials with his dad. He was a singer. After this movie, he quit acting and became an investment banker, and now runs like a $600 million company.
Nice.
Yeah. Janine Taylor, cast as Marcy. She made numerous stage appearances before making her film debut in the movie. She is now a marketing manager for a New York-based magazine.
That's too bad because magazines are dying.
Yeah.
Slow and horrible death.
Laurie Bartram was cast as Brenda. She appeared in the soap opera Another World, and I only mention this because my mother loved Another World. It was
Nice.
her favorite
So
show.
she was probably a fan.
Yes. She left the business shortly after the movie was released and became a born-again Christian.
It seems to happen with these horror movies and sometimes with pornographic movies
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
actors kind of jump the other way and are like, whoa,
Yeah,
I gotta ask forgiveness.
Yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I was the one porn star I've ever known. She long done with her career, but she was super born-again Christian.
That was Lisa Lovelace too, right? Wasn't she? Didn't she before
Linda
she
Lovelace?
died? Linda Lovelace, yes.
I
Sorry,
believe she did.
I've never seen a pornography film, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I can tell because you call them a pornography film.
I have no idea what pornography films are all about.
That's just saved for the
There's the
bedroom.
bums. There's bums in them.
There's bums,
and
yeah.
naked feet.
Hobos. We call them hobos, not bums.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wait,
Kevin Bacon was cast as Jack. Bacon's debut in Animal House in 1978 did not lead to the fame that he had sought.
here's
Go ahead.
here's what a great actor he is. When I saw Animal House, I used to like kind of glom onto actors, and I would want like if an actor was a bad guy, but I liked the actor, I'd want him to turn into a good guy in the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And so Kevin Bacon, I was like, I liked him, so I wanted him to become a good guy with the
Right.
He never did. I think he was like penetrated by a horse or something in that movie. I don't remember the ending. He did not have a, no. He was trampled. I think
He was trampled.
and
Okay.
turned
It's
into.
been a long time since I've seen
Yeah,
it.
I think he was trampled at the parade, and his whole body was flat, but his head, it was like a cartoon. It was a weirdly, oddly cartoon thing. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we do that movie. But I just remember even then just being like, I like this guy. Who's this guy?
Yeah, he was good. He ended up going back to waiting tables in New York. He auditioned for small roles in theater. He briefly worked on the television soap opera Search for Tomorrow and Guiding Light. And after the movie's release, no one ever heard from him again.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah. It's the one thing I do want to point out with Kevin Bacon is that he's a great actor. I love Kevin Bacon, but that man does not know how to dive into a lake.
No, he belly flopped.
He belly flopped hard.
Yeah, idiot. Kevin Bacon, how dare you?
I
He
love
can't take an arrow to the neck, though. He can take
Oh, yeah.
an arrow to the neck.
Yeah, he can. He very much can. After smoking
And he
this
wore
grass.
like bikini bottoms too when he dove into that lake. They put him in the tiniest little panties as his bathing suit.
Him and I believe it was Mark Nelson and Laurie Bartram. I believe they all had been in the three of them that show up in the truck. They had all been in soap operas together.
Yeah, probably.
Part of the reason they got cast was because they already had chemistry in the casting agents.
If you're a New York actor, you're going to be in a soap opera.
Yeah.
Well, and then didn't Mark Nelson, was he on Law and Order?
Yes. Yeah, Mark Nelson. Mark Nelson. He actually appeared as 4 different characters in Law and Order.
Well, if you're a New York actor after 1987, then you have been on Law and Order at least once.
And he was also on SVU and Criminal Intent.
Yeah, of course. They all
He
come
was
back.
on-
They all come
He
back. I
played
love
6
those
different
shows. Yeah.
characters in 3 different Law and Order shows.
Yes, because
I
the
love it.
shows are so long, people don't remember. There's several actors that have been on.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard to watch because if you binge watch that thing, you get confused because it's like a guy will come on as a rapist or a child molester or something, and then he's the DA. Like 2 seasons later, and it's like obviously not the same character, but it is the same actor, and you're like, wow, good for him.
Yeah,
good for him. Rehabilitation works apparently in New York.
He was also a prolific stage actor. Of all of them, except for Kevin Bacon, he's had the biggest career, which is great. I really liked him in the movie. So.
Who?
Mark Nelson. Yeah,
Which one did he play?
he was the goofy one.
The one that like shot the arrows.
Who actually kind of started the whole trope of the goofy prankster in the horror movies. Like he was kind of the first one.
Okay.
But yeah, almost killed the other girl with the arrow, and then
Hey,
It was great,
What you
yeah.
doing?
He's
Oh,
like-
I'm going to show you my real trick. He was about to shoot 2 arrows at her. Not so fast, funny guy.
Robbie Morgan was cast as Annie, the first kill, who didn't even make it to Camp Crystal Lake.
She was so positive. Poor little Annie.
She
was
was
so excited to
adorable,
cook for all
yeah.
those kids. She was real funny, and she was all sassy. I really wanted to see more of her, but
She, the funny thing is that she was in.
never hitchhike, kids.
No, don't. It's bad news. She was in the casting office actually auditioning for something else, and one of the casting directors looked at her and said, "You're a camp counselor," and they literally had her on set the next day.
Wow.
She shot for 1 day, did not act against any of the other actors,
No.
like in the truck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was Tom Savini's assistant actually was in the truck with her, and Tom Savini's assistant chased her in the woods.
Well, she was in the store with all
Yes,
the actors.
yes, with Enos and all that stuff. But like, it was funny because Betsy Palmer was actually there, who played Mrs. Voorhees. She was there to shoot. But when they said, "Yeah, you got to chase her through the woods," she was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that."
Well, I mean, which is great because then they just use that POV camera the entire
Yeah,
time.
it was fantastic. Yeah, yeah. And Robbie Morgan was great. I wish she was more in the movie because she was so cute and fun. and,
Very like 70s hippie. Whatever, man.
yeah. Peter Brower was Steve Christie, the owner, part of the family that owned it. The only reason he got cast was because his girlfriend was an assistant director on the film.
Yep.
That's how it works. And perhaps the biggest get they got was Betsy Palmer, who played Mrs. Voorhees. They originally wanted Estelle Parsons. Estelle Parsons, probably best known as Roseanne's mother on the
Yeah,
TV show Roseanne.
great actress.
fantastic. Still on. She's on the new version of it without Roseanne.
Right. Called The Canners.
The Canners, yes. She actually turned it down because the violence. She didn't like the violence in the movies, in the script. Shelley Winters was asked to do it and turned it down as well.
Surprised. At that point, Shelley Winters did just about anything.
Yeah.
But, no, that's not. I mean, anything that had a decent budget.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they probably paid him like $1,000 a day or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was part of the reason that Betsy Palmer took the job.
She wanted a new car.
Literally wanted a car that cost $10,000. Her daughter said, "We need to get a new car," and she was paid $1,000 a day for.
I'll do it.
10
I'll do it
days
because
of
I need a new car and I need new dentures.
She didn't understand why someone would want her for a part in a horror film, and she had previously starred in like comedy dramas and westerns and things. Which, I mean, granted, it's a great part. I mean, at the end, she steals the movie at the end of it. I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, every other part is pretty
bland.
forgettable.
Yeah.
There's nobody that really stands out of all the.
I mean, I would read the last 20 pages and be like, this is great. I'm
You
gonna be
just
all
went
over
through
this.
the entire casting, and besides Kevin Bacon, I had no idea who was who.
Yeah.
I don't remember who's who.
Yeah, the
As
names are
kids. They're
so
just,
generic,
Who
and
cares?
it
They're all
doesn't
wearing
matter.
jean shorts.
They're all half naked or naked, and they're all dead, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
there you go.
She really thought the script was bad. At one point, she went on record saying that she thought the movie was a piece of shit.
She wasn't wrong about the script.
Since then, she's actually come out and apologized and said, "Oh, I understand what they were trying to do.
Yes.
Like, it's not everybody's cup of tea." All right, well, let's take a quick break and then we'll get into production.
Hey, this is Bob Newman, and I just want to say, be charitable and listen to the Gen X Files with Jim and Adam. It's now on Spotify. Yeah, if you like spaghetti sauce, drop us out to Rooney.
New episodes every Friday. All celebrity voices are poorly impersonated.
The film was shot in New Jersey in September of 1979 with a $550,000 budget.
New Jersey.
Jersey, yeah.
You ever been?
No.
Ah, I've been to a lot of places in New Jersey. Didn't like any of them. I dated
wow.
a girl who lived in one North Orange, South. I don't know. There's a lot of oranges in
Oh,
Jersey, and she lived in one of the oranges.
Oh.
And not
Do
my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's not Jersey.
Not my cup of tea. Not my thing. Although I did have an amazing Reuben sandwich.
Oh,
At
that's
some
good. So there's a little bit of
club
redeeming
or something,
qualities
yes.
in New Jersey.
I'm going to give it the props. I had a good sandwich in Jersey.
The camp scenes were shot on a working Boy Scout camp called Camp Nobi Bosco.
Okay, I hate the way that they name summer camps. Can I just say?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Camp Nobi Kobisco. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? It's either some ripoff or some bastardization of an Indian word, a Native
Yeah.
American word, or it's one of these like Camp Jibbity Jubbity Bobbity Boop.
Come on, I want to lay you.
Or it's like some vaguely racist thing. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm glad that I grew up on the West Coast. I didn't go to sleepaway camps like you weirdos. Here's the thing. East Coast parents hate their children.
Yeah.
Okay? Or they did in this. I mean, they still do probably, but they hated them in the 70s. What would happen was they would send their children off to boarding school, and then they would come back and they would say, "Oh, Timothy, look at you. You've grown so big in the last few months. Well, tomorrow you're off to summer camp for the next 3 months. Daddy and I have to go to a fundraiser. We have your favorite meal. Juneberry is going to make your favorite meal, and she'll tuck you in right before she leaves. Toot-toot, tiddly-dee."
I can totally see that. The kids being home for literally like 6 hours, and then they're packed off and trundled away.
Daddy and mommy have things to do.
They have to go to France.
Yeah, and they're not taking nothing worse than having your gross kids along on a good vacation. I think they knew how to do it back then.
Tom Savini was hired to design the film's special effects based upon his work in Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Oh man, nobody does practical like Savini.
He is a genius. Like Marcy's axe wound to the face, the arrow penetrating Jack's throat,
Right.
and Mrs. Voorhees' decapitation by the machete.
And a giant man.
Next time you watch it, take a good look at those hairy
Look at
arms.
those hairy knuckles she's got. Well, murder puts hair on you.
The funny thing is
what I
that
heard.
it actually might have been her. I don't think it was, but
Electrolysis, baby. Look, here's the thing. Yes,
yeah.
you have to make considerations
Yes.
on a low budget
Yes.
film, and if she wouldn't run through the forest, I'm sure she's
Right.
not going to jam her head into some sort of sweater and have blood
Yeah,
spurting
yeah.
out of her. It's just that's not her. She is an accomplished stage actress, Adam, and she was above all of that. So of course they're going to have to do the hand thing. But here's the great thing about Savini. The thing that I love about him. It's not just, oh, there's an axe in the face, which looks amazing. Or there's an arrow coming up through the neck, which is super unsettling.
Shot blood into his mouth. It was so
It's
cool.
the teeny things. Like the way they shot it, it made it look like the axe went into her head,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And her moving down and the way that the blood
so
came
good,
down.
yeah.
And with the arrow slowly popping through the neck, it's just excruciating.
Every time I see the movie, I think the arrow is going to come out further higher up, and
Yeah.
then it doesn't. And I'm
No.
like, ah!
I thought it went through both of them.
That is in a later
That's
movie.
in another movie. I get that mixed up because I always get the Kevin Bacon mixed up because there's one where they impale two lovers
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
But so in that little blood spurting up in his neck and using his actual face instead of a
Instead of a,
the way that they did it. And then, having the arms up, it's those little touches that make it real. It's those little touches that sell it.
Right.
Because practical effects can be goofy
Yeah.
if not done correctly.
Right.
And whatever budget you got, Savini delivers the goods.
Yeah, he's a storyteller first. Like
Yeah.
he understands. I mean, which is evidenced by the fact that now he directs, and God knows he's directed like half of The Walking Dead. But I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But
No, look,
But
man, the
he's-
guy has
yeah.
been in the business forever, and as an actor, as a director, as the granddaddy of prosthetic effects.
Yeah.
Effects, Adam.
Practical effect.
Tom Savini is a legend,
Yeah.
and he is an accomplished legend, and he keeps working today because the guy knows his stuff. He knows horror. He knows how to make gross stuff. He knows how to gross people out, and he knows how to make it real. The work he does on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a couple of seasons. I need to catch up. I'm maybe 3 or 4 seasons behind. But that stuff is grotesque.
He does a good job, but he understands how to affect reaction from the audience.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, yes, all of these kills in Friday the 13th stand out,
yeah.
but they don't take away from the movie. It's not
Right.
like
It's not just that's it.
Yeah,
it's not just
exactly.
focused
It's like
on that.
it's a gross,
It's supportive.
visceral moment, but yeah, it serves a story.
Right. So during the filming of the fight sequences between King and Palmer's characters, the fight sequence at the end, Palmer suggested rehearsing the scene based on her theater training.
Yeah. Also, I've done fights and stuff in movies and
Yeah.
low budget movies, and you don't really rehearse them. Every time somebody gets hurt,
Yeah.
and every time
Oh
it's
no,
me.
no! Her need to rehearse it makes sense.
She's a pro.
She said,
I said to Adrienne that night, why don't we rehearse this scene? I have to slap you. Because on stage, when you slap somebody, you slap them.
which just to pause for a second, that's not entirely true.
It kind of is. I don't know. I mean,
It's harder to sell it on stage.
it's
if you
way
don't-
harder.
yeah.
And I know that's look, I've done it both ways in theater, and mostly I prefer the slap. I prefer getting slapped.
Yeah, it's
Because you can control it.
it's real. Yeah, yeah.
The worst thing is if you I've had bad slappers where they
yeah.
pop you in the ear.
Ugh.
You know, because they're bad, they're not
'Cause they're just-
looking,
yeah.
and they don't. That's why you have to
out of
rehearse.
control,
If you're gonna
yeah.
take a hit, you got to rehearse the hit because you can do it in a way that it doesn't hurt.
Right.
You know,
While rehearsing, Palmer slapped King in the face and she began crying.
There she collapsed on the floor crying, Sean, she hit me. I said, well, of course I did. We were rehearsing the scene.
And Sean said, No, Betsy. We don't hit people in movies. We miss them.
And then I slapped him, and I slapped everybody in the crew, and I was a happy, slappity slaps.
I gotta admit, and I'm sure that Betsy Palmer is a fantastic person,
sure.
but she really comes off as not being a very nice person.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, just
But Adam, okay. Let's put on Betsy Palmer's orthopedic shoes for a second. You're an accomplished stage actress, a professional,
Yeah.
who has been
She's had a
working
very long career.
Yes,
Yep.
working with very good directors and very good productions.
Yeah.
And you're doing this movie because you need a car.
Literally
You're not doing it
for
for
the
yes.
check.
So you show up in the Jersey woods with a bunch of goofballs that are half your age,
20-year-olds, yeah.
you know, and nobody's professional. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. And, you know, of course you're going to get cranky because it's just like, you're not going to It's gonna be hard to connect with anybody.
Yeah.
because they're
Well,
all
yeah,
smoking
yeah.
grass.
Well,
and-
and she's the villain. Like they're not. I mean, she's not going to hang out with them at lunch. You know,
right, and she doesn't. I mean, I'm sure she didn't. She only really had scenes with Adrian King, so it's not like she's hanging out with the rest.
That's
of them.
true. Yeah, because she doesn't. She literally, when you finally see her, she pulls up in the.
She wasn't holding the camera during those POV scenes in the woods. She.
Do you think that they just used the same Jeep for Steve and for her?
Yes, because
They didn't have two of them.
I don't think they could have even afforded that Jeep. It was somebody on the cruise Jeep.
I'm sure.
I just have to say this too. What lazy MacGuffins in this movie. So lazy, it'd be like, oh, maybe it's that guy. But then that guy's like right there. So
Right,
there's no way he could be that guy. And then it's like, oh, maybe, it's that guy's Jeep. Maybe he's picking her up and he
It
killed
must
her.
be. He must be the killer.
But he's all the way in the
Yeah,
friggin'
he's not there.
getting his supplies
and
when
we
everybody's
literally
getting
just saw the Jeep not working. So it's like
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
just
It's much like Crazy Ralph. Sean Cunningham debated on cutting that out because he was like, I wanted people to think he was the killer, but I don't know if it was successful.
Sean, baby, Sean. Nobody thinks anybody's the killer. Nobody thinks anybody in that cast is the killer. There's nobody where I was like, oh, maybe it's him or maybe it's her.
There's a great moment with I think it's Chad. He has the machete and he kills the snake, and then he looks at the machete, and I was like, oh. But then they show the POV shot of the killer looking at all of the counselors.
right, and
it's
he
like,
also didn't look at the machete like, he just kind of looked at the machete.
Yeah, well, I think it was realizing the power, and it's like, which is interesting.
For me, it was like, ugh, I killed a snake with this thing. I feel weird.
So
There's no menace in any of those jean-shorted
no
goobers.
No, they just, yeah. Harry Manfredini scored the film.
Hold on.
Sorry.
I just have to acknowledge, as I do, that Harry Manfredini is one of my favorite composer names. Manfredini, is he
He's
Italian?
The amazing Manfredini.
He
I'm
should have been a
assuming
magician.
he's
yeah.
Italian. I don't-
Manfredini.
Yeah.
Manfredini is Italian for artist who rips off other artists. Strangely enough.
Yeah, he the one choice they did make, and maybe it was because Manfredini didn't want to do a lot of work, was that they purposely did not have music except for when the killer was present.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure maybe that cut the budget down. I don't know.
Sure, of course it did. Scoring a film, man, because it's, you forget that you have to not only score the film, but you have to transfer
Yeah.
to Magstock, and it's just all that stuff costs money.
expensive, yeah.
And recording costs money. You can't,
Yeah.
you laptop warriors out there making your movies and your TikToks, you don't understand how difficult it was when you had to process everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
See if you could do your TikToks if you had to process all your film and do your dailies. I don't know why I'm so against the TikTokers.
I don't know either.
Jealous.
He borrowed the idea of using sound cues as the killer from Jaws.
Yeah, quote unquote borrowed.
Yeah. And he borrowed
I borrowed these jewels from this jewelry store last night.
much like he borrowed the entire score of Psycho.
Yes. He's like, what are some really effective horror movie scores that I'm doing my little quoties, quote, homage, unquote.
I think the ongoing theme with Friday the 13th is that it literally ripped everything off.
Yes, but in a great
Everything.
way.
I mean, it's still, yes, it's a great movie.
They ripped everything off, but strangely enough, the end result is a unique kind of film.
It works. Yeah, it totally works. The director wanted a chorus, but the budget wouldn't allow it. So Manfredini decided to use striking pronunciations, which he actually borrowed from something else he was listening to.
Yeah. He's a borrower.
Striking pronunciations are essentially repeating syllables over and over. Yeah, which he did with the ki ma ma ma,
Yeah.
which obviously does not sound like ki ma ma ma. But part of it is because he did it so much and had so much reverberation on it that it just demolished what he was trying to say.
Yeah, and he gets super ticked when people are like, "Isn't it chi 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 cha cha cha?" And he's like, "No, damn it, it's kiki mama." And
He literally thinks people are stupid because they can't figure that out.
well, I'm sorry, you rip-off artist. you distorted your crap, so it sounds like ch ch ch. Which is also scarier than ki ki ki
yeah.
ma ma ma.
It works.
Kill her, mommy.
Yeah.
Kill her. Kill her, mom. Kill her,
Kill
mommy.
so many
Kill
close-ups of
mommy.
her mouth.
Dentures, I'm thinking they were big choppers, man. She's got some chops.
Either that she had some really good work done.
Chompity chomps, white ass chompers, man. I would not put my hand in
She
there.
was fantastic in that movie.
Oh, definitely.
I
And when she comes up in the Jeep, she's like, it's like she walks in from another movie with her little turtleneck sweater.
Hey.
And, hi there, what's going on here at the camp? Everybody okay? Sure, 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 it's okay.
I love the.
Okay.
It's the. I'm not scared of this. She just walks inside. Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad that she's dead.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, she's a kitschy lady with the short hair and her sweater. It's like, she looks like she came right out of Topanga. Topanga Canyon in
That's so
California.
true. That's so true. So, when the movie was done and edited, there was a bidding war over the distribution rights to the film in 1980 between Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, and United Artists.
They finally realized, because of movies like Night of the Living Dead,
Mm-hmm.
and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Halloween, that these movies have an audience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the studios are like, we want in. Let's ruin it. Let's acquire this and run it into the ground and ruin it for everybody.
Yeah. Paramount executive Frank Mancuso Sr. recalled, "The minute we saw Friday the 13th, we knew we had a hit." Paramount ultimately purchased domestic distribution rights for Friday the 13th for $1.5 million. It was the first independent slasher film to be acquired by a major motion picture studio.
Yep. Well, like I said, I mean, it was
time.
inevitable.
Yeah. Paramount spent approximately $500,000 in advertisements for the film, and an additional $500,000 when the film began performing well at the box office. And Frank Mancuso Sr. said even after spending $1.5 million and $1 million, essentially $2.5 million on the movie, they knew they were going to make money on it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the appetite for horror movies was just growing at that point. They some of these guys aren't dummies. I mean, they can see where things are turning. So it's like, how can we make a ton of money on this?
Well, this is precisely why Sean S. Cunningham was like, I'm going to make this as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
Because he knew he could get somebody to buy it, and he knew it would make money.
Yes.
And it did. It literally made back like almost twice the money that Paramount made on it in the first weekend.
You know, the advertisement sounded like, coming this summer, terror and chills at the campsite, Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
See young, attractive camp counselors fight for their lives as somebody hunts them down one by one on Friday the 13th this summer from Paramount.
And then it crashes through the glass. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it goes, key, ma, ma, ma.
Yeah. Except it doesn't. It goes. Yeah. The worldwide gross for the film was just shy of $60 million.
Damn.
Yeah. That was, they were
Honk if
surprised
you
by it,
love
too.
box office receipts.
Of the 17 films distributed by Paramount in 1980, only Airplane returned more profits.
Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Not factoring in international sales or the crossover film with A Nightmare on Elm Street's Freddy Krueger, the original Friday the 13th is the highest grossing film in the franchise.
And the best. And the best. There are some good ones peppered in there.
We will. Yeah. We'll talk about those. The movie was severely panned by the critics. I just included some of these because I think the quotes
good.
are really funny.
Well, here's the thing, too. These old...
Yeah.
These film reviewers are snobs
Yes.
and dicks.
Yes.
And they don't get what kids like. They
Yes.
don't get what's fun and entertaining or goofy about this. They just see it. Let's hear these quotes from these critics.
Lou Cedrone of the Baltimore Evening Sun said,
It's a shamelessly bad film, but then Cunningham knows this. This is sad.
I just love the fact that he literally wrote, "This is sad." Like, what? Really? But perhaps an even bigger critic and dick, Gene Siskel, who called Cunningham.
One of the most despicable characters ever to infest the movie business.
He also published the address for Charles Bluedhorn, the chairman of the board of Gulf and Western, which owned Paramount.
What?
As well as Betsy Palmer's home city, and encouraged fellow detractors to write to them and express their contempt for the film.
To the actor? To the actor.
Yes.
To the actor.
This is how much Gene Siskel was a dick.
Gene Siskel, God rest his soul, was an asshole. That
Even-
is, so, and he also
Perhaps
ruined the movie.
the worst thing is that he gave away
That
the
son of
ending
a
of the
bitch.
movie
I am sorry, man.
in his review.
Oh, F that guy.
That
F him. And this is the thing. You don't realize how popular Gene Siskel was
Oh, he was
in the
huge.
day.
Yeah.
Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert
Yeah.
They had their At the Movies PBS show that was hugely successful, but they were both film snobs.
Yeah.
You know, fine. They were good reviewers, great writers. Ebert, I think.
Ebert didn't like the movie either, but he wasn't a dick about it.
No. F you, man. That's you're screwing with people's livelihoods. It's
not.
dangerous.
It's-
It's not the actress's fault.
There were like 50 people that worked on this movie. They were all
Betsy
making money off
wanted
of
a
this.
friggin' car, Gene.
Yeah.
She just did it for an Oldsmobile,
God,
okay?
it just is such a dick move.
Oh, I am so incensed.
Friday the 13th has spawned 10 sequels, including a crossover film with a Nightmare on Elm Street villain, Freddy Krueger. Friday the 13th Part 2 introduced Jason Voorhees, the son.
Two
of
is
Mrs.
fun. Two I
Voorhees.
like.
Yeah.
Okay, two is good.
Yeah.
Jason wasn't just this bullet sponge, mindless goon at that
No,
point.
no.
He didn't even have the hockey mask. He had
No,
like
he
a
had
burlap sack
yeah,
that was
with
even
the
more frightening.
one eye
yeah,
cut out,
which is
which
so
was
much more frightening.
Scary as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, from Jersey.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a
That's-
Jason
this is
Devil.
actually this is why he never talked, because that's how he sounds.
Hey, I'm Jason Voorhees.
I'm gonna come
get
get
you. I got my I got my machete, and I'm gonna machete you. Oh, hey, I like dancing. Oh, I like going to the discotheque. Oh, go. My mama's dead. You decapitated my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, he comes back for revenge.
Yeah.
For revenge. It's
Exactly.
like a double revenge whammy dammy.
He was the primary antagonist for all of the remaining sequels, with the exception of the fifth movie.
Yes, which was interesting.
Most of the sequels were filmed on larger budgets than the original, even though the original made more money than all of them.
Yes.
For comparison, Friday the 13th had a budget of $550,000, while the first sequel was given a budget of $1.25 million, and Freddy vs. Jason had the largest budget, the last movie to be released, at $30 million.
I've said this all through our wonderful month of awesome horror movies, is that less is more.
Yeah.
Low budget horror movies are always better than
Yeah.
big budget horror movies, without exception.
Yeah.
Except for Psycho. But I don't even call Psycho a horror movie. I think Psycho is more
No,
of a,
it's a thriller. Yeah.
psychological thriller. But every time, man, this is what happens. Hellraiser,
Yeah.
Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Hills Have Eyes. All of these great People Under the Stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of these amazing 80s, 70s horror movies that were made for nothing by these pioneers who just wanted to make a movie, do something. You know, these are these dirty, grubby collaborations where people
Right.
bleed and sweat and cry and
Yeah.
and risk everything to make it happen.
And you don't know if it's going to work or not.
No, and all on like a script that's like, you know, it's not like you're making Gone with the Wind.
No,
it's
no,
such a. I really have an affinity for horror filmmakers, especially these indie guys. I love really great films and I love independent film, but there's something about making a horror movie that is risky
Yeah.
and dirty and just fun. You have to figure out stuff, man. You got to
Yeah.
figure out. It is not easy to scare people. You need a really good group of people. You need game actors. You need a decent director who has a vision for this thing. You need a writer who is malleable because you don't want to always use his dialogue. You need an editor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need a
100%.
great editor,
That's-
and you need some good
Yeah.
sound, and you need a good effects guy. But you know, for every one of these movies,
Right.
there's 1,000,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
crappers.
Oh my God, bad. Yeah. All of the sequels repeated the premise of the original, so the filmmakers made tweaks to provide freshness. Like Part 3 was filmed in 3D. It also introduced the hockey mask.
It was so bad, the 3D. It was like the Jaws 3D. It was back when
yeah.
there was a small resurgence of horrible 3D in the 80s
Yeah.
that, thank God, they got rid of after like a year because it was just bad. We're talking like the blue
Yeah.
and
the
red
blue and red,
glasses.
yeah, which is bad, yeah. These are all really pretty much forgettable.
Oh my God, Jason Takes Manhattan is so
He punches the head off somebody.
he literally I think he walks from New Jersey to Manhattan underwater or something.
Oh, I thought he
ridiculous.
swam through the Panama Canal.
Who knows? It's so bad.
The only interesting thing about the first 8 is that I said the only interesting thing. The interesting thing about the 8 is that they released one of these every year
Yeah.
for 8 years.
Sure, cash cow, baby.
Yeah.
They didn't care about quality, that's for sure.
And then after Jason Takes Manhattan, they took a hiatus because they realized how bad the series had
They had
gotten.
run it into the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
Jason Takes Manhattan is a huge punchline.
Yeah.
It's people
It's
use
just-
it as a
yeah.
joke constantly because it should be. It's garbage.
It is bad. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, came out in 1993.
We wish.
They tried to to end the series, but then in 2002 they did Jason X.
Another crap. It was in space.
It's set in the future.
Yeah, okay. I've seen all of these movies because I like to torture myself. Jason in space, man. Like, I don't remember how they thaw him out or something. And it's just Alien,
Yeah,
but
he's on
instead
a
of Alien,
ship.
it's
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah. The only thing I really liked about Jason X was when he grabs, it's in the hologram thing, and he grabs one of the campers inside the sleeping bag and then uses it as a club to kill the other camper.
Yeah.
And then he bashes it against a tree, and it's like, oh, it was fun.
Yeah.
And then the next year they did Jason versus Freddy,
Which
and
was
that
fun.
was it.
It was fun. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was fun to see those two guys fight. And Robert Englund he's the king.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
all these other guys, it doesn't matter. They're lumbering bloobs.
It could be anybody.
But Freddy, man, without and the remake goes to show. I'm sorry. What's his
Yeah.
name?
Bad News Bears kid.
The Bad News Bears kid.
I can't think of his name.
Jibby Jabby Juby.
Yeah.
Great actor.
It just didn't work.
What didn't work because you can't take it too serious. The thing about horror movies is this is the line, man. The line between campy and seriousness. If you go for campy, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
It's got to be campy on its own. Friday the 13th is campy on its own.
Right.
They're not trying for camp.
Right.
And if you go too serious, it's not fun. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Then it's just like a drudge of murders and
Yeah,
sadness.
yeah. And then it's like, what's the
way,
point?
you know? Where's the glee? Where's the fun? That
Horror
was the-
movies need to be fun.
yeah, and the camp needs to be earned. And it just happens, man. Camp happens because it's a dumb story, and the way it comes together makes it campy.
Yeah.
If you try to make a campy film, you're going to fail.
Perfect example, 2009, when they did the remake, was directed by Marcus Nispel, the same guy who directed the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
We learn our lesson.
And it is literally everything you just said.
Yeah.
It takes itself too seriously
Very
and
much
is
so.
just a trudge.
It's the same thing with the Halloween remake. The stuff that
Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie did is really interesting. I
Yeah,
like his
yeah.
stuff because he's an interesting filmmaker and he loves the genre.
Yeah.
And he is a definite fan, and he's a fan of the character, and he's a fan of the story. So his stuff I enjoyed.
Yeah.
The other remake with the Supernatural kid, the kid from Supernatural, I forget which one, because they were
yeah.
both in both those
yeah.
Supernatural guys started doing some horror movies in the late aughts. But I think it wasn't Pilecki, Jared Pilecki. It was the other one. But
Yeah.
it's same thing. Takes itself too seriously,
yeah.
and it doesn't have any of the oomph of the original. The original is a mother going on a killing spree because she loses her mind
Yeah.
from her child dying 20 years ago.
20 plus years, yeah.
59 that kid died.
Yeah.
You know?
57.
57 that kid
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
So that's like 30 years.
Yeah.
No, it was an 87.
No, it was
Brr,
no, it
math.
wasn't 87. It was 22 years. He died in 57.
Yeah,
and
that's a
then-
lot of rage to hold on to, man.
I mean, she did other stuff during the time, like she poisoned the lake or something, and then she there was something wrong with the
well,
water.
she did what she could to stop it.
yeah.
To stop the.
Stop them from trying to bring more camp counselors.
Yeah, she just couldn't bear it because baby's in that lake.
So because of the aforementioned lawsuit over the first movie, no new Friday the 13th material can be produced.
How long has this lawsuit been going on?
3 years.
Jeez, and then what's the
And
end?
part of the
game?
problem is that they argued it, and the 3 judges that saw the case, it was right before the pandemic happened.
Oh,
And since then, one of the judges has died.
uh-oh.
And it has been like 16 or 18
Jason
months.
kill him?
It's possible. But they,
Took an
they
arrow through the
haven't
throat.
they just haven't released the verdict yet. So like literally everything's just in limbo. And whether or not
Well, what can happen? What are the two
So,
outcomes?
at the end of the day,
Adam
it's
is our
it's
Adam
just-
is a lawyer, by the way. I just want to make sure that you guys know that he's an esquire.
they have an embargo essentially that no new stuff can be made because it essentially comes down to who's going to get paid.
Right.
Because I don't think that Victor Miller has been paid for any of the movies. Like he gets a character created by credit.
Right. But is
like,
this because of the he works for them or he doesn't work for them situation?
Yes. It was
Okay.
whether or not he was considered to be an employee for Sean Cunningham. Sean Cunningham says, my company hired you to write this. And Victor Miller says, I wrote the script as a partnership.
Right.
Meaning I didn't work for you after this. Oh, man. So
This is
yeah.
why people get your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Get your stuff together.
Sign contracts.
Contracts. I have been in so many different problems because you don't either sign the contract or get a copy of the contract because it's a buddy. I'm owed thousands of dollars,
yeah.
Adam.
Yeah.
Thousands of
I
dollars
know.
because I trusted people who were, I'm doing the quoties again, friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't trust anybody. Money makes people assholes. Success makes people jerks.
Right, right.
People are going to try. It's so sad. It's so sad when this kind of stuff happens because
Yeah.
Gene Siskel, whatever, you make something that is in the zeitgeist, man. You
Yeah.
make something
Yeah.
that spawned, that helped spawn an entire genre.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a genre unto yourself for a movie that lasted 20 years of
Yeah.
sequels, you know? And it just comes down to money and bitterness
Yeah.
and this kind of stuff. And I get it, man. That guy should be rich. He created
Yeah.
this stuff, and he, you know, I'm on his side. But it's just, it sucks when it gets to that because there is enough money to go around on these things.
That is what kills me. There is plenty of money.
You're depriving the fans.
Yeah.
You know, maybe, hopefully, the last thing that they did with this franchise was this video game,
Yeah.
which was kind of fun.
It was fun to play.
You know, it's in concept, it's amazing because you play either as camp counselors or one of you is Jason.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it has the whole, it has the great music.
Yeah,
It's got the
yeah.
locations.
It feels very
yeah,
much
you
like
gotta
a
like
movie,
try to
yeah.
escape Jason, but he's gonna pop up, and the kills are cool. So there's cool stuff to it. In theory, it's cool, but you know, you get 10 strangers together, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Playing with young people, I love.
Yeah.
Adam and I are avid gamers. We just
Yeah.
updated to PS5s. So happy about that. Sorry if anybody's jelly gel, but we got them. But yeah, we love playing online. We love playing games, but it's just, you know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing too. You're at the mercy of strangers. So that's what we have so far is this game,
Right.
Which,
And I
quite
don't-
frankly, even though it's not that great, is one of the best things in
Yes,
the franchise
since the first movie.
I want to see what's next.
You wanna
I don't-
see something
I
new.
don't want any more Friday the 13th movies.
Okay.
I don't want any more Halloween movies or Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacres.
Stop digging in that
Give
well.
me a VHS, like that VHS. Those guys are. I like what they're doing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they have a new one coming out, like VHS 94 or something, which I'm really excited
Sure,
for. And it's the first time I don't really get excited for horror flicks anymore.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this more on the Stepdad show, but I was a scared little scaredy when I was a little kid. So scared. And then when I discovered horror movies, it was a way to channel that fear and get rid of it.
Right.
And I love them. I love them. So the horror movies were great up until about the mid 80s, towards the end of the
Yeah.
80s, you know?
I mean, yeah.
and then you got Scream, which was a nice renaissance, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was something new.
But it was also Wes Craven.
Of course, Wes Craven, a master. You know, when we do our
yeah.
show about him, he is the master of horror. But it's like he created something new. We need something new. What's next?
Well, there's some like Robert Eggers is really good. Like he did The Witch and Lighthouse. Like there's some newer directors that I'm excited about. Or like the guy who did Midsummer. You know.
Okay,
and,
I did not see that. I
God,
kind
you
of
should see Midsummer.
I'll watch. I've been circling that one for
Yeah.
a while, but I'm also really gun shy about horror movies. Like I watched,
Yeah.
like we talked about, *Malignant*. Watched that, was completely disappointed. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
scary.
No. No.
A twist isn't scary.
No.
A twist isn't a horror movie. A twist doesn't give me dread. A twist doesn't make me care about the characters or,
Right.
you know, it's goofy and dumb and whatever that these kids were in Friday the 13th. I cared about them. They were fun to hang
Yeah.
out with.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's shot in a way that is cinema verite. The point of view camera that's used in horror movies to ad nauseum in the
Yeah.
80s, but that's what adds to the dread and the fear. Somebody's
Right.
watching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and the more creepy, the better, because it's that voyeur aspect of like, we know we're
Yeah.
the killer,
We
man.
are the killer,
We're the
yeah.
killer watching these
Yeah.
people skinny dip or whatever.
Right,
You
right,
know, and
spying,
that's what makes you feel gross. Is you're like, ooh, I'm him. I don't mean to be like an old grampy pampy about this, but honestly, I think true horror fans would agree with me
Yeah.
that there's something a lot scarier about something dirty than something slick, because you know
Yeah.
something slick's
I
just
agree,
make
I
believe.
agree.
But this other stuff, you feel like you're watching something you shouldn't.
Exactly. And it's, yeah. We'll talk about more on the Stepdad show, but I have a lot of opinions about why the modern horror movies are not as good as they used to be.
Yes.
And I think it really comes down to lazy marketers.
Lazy writers, lazy marketers, lazy directors.
It's much easier to market a movie that everybody already knows.
It's also easier to market a gimmick than to market a movie.
Yeah.
You know?
If it's something new, you got to figure out how to market it properly, and they just don't want to do that.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I have hope. There's some.
Same. I
Hey,
mean-
look, horror's future is in independent cinema. Horror has always been at the heart of independent cinema.
Yeah.
And the best horror has always been independent cinema.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
There you go. There's your lesson, you old bastards.
That is our time for the day. Go watch Friday the 13th again. It's great.
Do it. Oh,
Don't
and we're
watch it
gonna
on-
mix it up, man.
Yeah.
We usually end the month with for the stepdad shows, but
Right.
we're gonna, because it's Halloween.
Actually, Halloween on our last.
Yeah, it's like
Friday.
the 29th. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our stepdad show next week, and then we're gonna end out the month with Halloween.
Yeah, cover the granddaddy, the big daddy. Was.
This is okay. Because finally they realized after Night of the Living Dead and after Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Charlie's Angels, already in progress.